Hey folks, I'd like to take a few minutes to go over a few common causes for writer's block, or just things that tend to derail creative projects. Also keep in mind that I'm going to talk a lot about writer's block and composition, but this stuff applies to pretty much any kind of project that you're given to do, so hopefully you will find it helpful outside of the composition classroom. A lot of times people feel like they simply just don't know enough about the topic at hand. This is especially problematic when you've been given a writing task or other project by an authority, whether that authority is a teacher in a class or a boss at your job, and the topic isn't something about which you're particularly knowledgeable. It could also be that you chose the topic yourself because you find it interesting, but you just don't know that much about it. This is pretty common, and if you find yourself in this situation, there are probably all kinds of ways to alleviate the problem. Just a few would be asking your instructor for clarification, doing some research as long as it's permitted in the context of the project, or even old school brainstorming, like drawing a mind map or free writing. Brainstorming is especially helpful because you can get all this messy stuff out of your brain and into language on paper, and then start to sort through it and make connections that may reveal a path forward. In fact, figuring out what you're trying to say is centrally important to any project, and you may have discovered that when you already know pretty clearly what you want to say, the actual writing is a lot easier. That's why brainstorming is helpful. That way, you can get the invention of the argument or whatever it is you're writing clear to yourself. And then, when you sit down to draft the thing, you just have to worry about all of those other things, like style, citation, and formatting. Otherwise, you're trying to do too much at once, and it can be brain-rending. This is, however, just one way that we can think of lack of knowledge as an obstacle to the process of composition. Not knowing the what. What are you going to make? What are you going to write? Again, this is pretty common and relatively easy to resolve. Related to lack of knowledge is also the question of knowing how to go about building a project. What would be the best process to follow? What organization makes the most sense? First of all, I'm convinced that writing is a process toward a product, not just a product, and not just a product in itself. That means it's best approached in stages, starting with the brainstorming I previously discussed, and then moving into outlining, revising, editing, proofreading, soliciting feedback, all kinds of stages that will, in the end, most likely make the product that you submit to your instructor or your boss or whatever the best that it can be given the time that you had to work on it. I've got another video with more details about considering writing as a process, so you should check that out too if you want. So anyway, lack of knowledge, whether the what or the how, is a very real and very common impediment to any project. But there are ways to address it so that you don't end up staring at a blank document for so long that you enter into some kind of existential crisis. Yes, moving on. Another common obstacle to the process of composition is lack of confidence. You've been given an assignment or project of some kind, and you have enough knowledge to get started, but you're kind of scared or concerned about what your reader is going to think. One very intimidating thing is this, the aforementioned blank document. I don't know if you've felt this terror, but I know some of my students over the years have confessed that they have felt it, and I have felt it too. Sometimes there is really nothing as frightening as gazing upon a pristine, beautiful, blank piece of paper and considering how, as you begin to fill it, you may be just totally screwing everything up, irreparably and immediately. I totally get that sentiment. Sometimes we have really good ideas in our minds, but it's a daunting task to try to get those thoughts into characters on the page. That's because writing is hard. Reading is hard. Think of Kurt Vonnegut in his piece, How to Write with Style. He discusses how reading is an act of decoding thousands of little symbols on a piece of paper. And in this case, you're the one who has to figure out what those thousands and thousands of symbols are going to be and what order to put them in. So yes, it's complicated, but that doesn't mean that we should just freeze up. It's like with all kinds of situations in life when you may find yourself with a lack of confidence, but you have something important to do, whether it's coursework, job responsibilities, job applications, or even just asking someone out on a date. You just have to take the risk. Prepare for it first, be responsible, but start doing something. And in the case of writing, the worst that's going to happen is that you'll spew out a bunch of nonsense from which maybe you might pick out a few shiny ideas that might start you back on the right track, like a brainstorm. Even if it's not comfortable, even if you're not sure how it's going to turn out. It's like totally obvious, but if you don't start writing, the thing's not going to get written. Just remember that the first draft of just about anything is always bad. You should assume that the first draft of anything you write is going to be a mess in some way or another. That's why writing should be thought of as a process involving revision and editing and proofreading and all that. I could go into a whole digression about the famous English poet Lord Byron and how he may have been producing complex, long poems without revising, but I'll spare you that here. Maybe it'll have to be another video. The point is, you have to find the courage, and one way to find it is to consider that no writing is perfect. There's simply no such thing. Anyway, I hope that some of this will help you navigate some of these confidence issues. Another very common obstacle is lack of interest. This is something that often pertains to people who are given writing projects rather than being able to choose something that interests them about which to write. Again, Vonnegut addresses this in How to Write with Style. It's just way easier to grapple with a creative project if you care. We all know that. And when an instructor or boss or whoever is tasking you with the project picks the topic for you, it may very well be that you just simply aren't interested enough. And this can absolutely kill your motivation to continue. Students in particular feel like this all the time, or at least are likely to feel it sometimes. It impacts those of us who like to write on our own as well as those who find writing tedious and annoying. Writing takes time, energy, focus, sacrifice, etc. And now you're being told to do all that for something you simply don't give a shit about. Well, I hate to put it this way, but in most situations, we just have to get over it. You either do it or you don't. And sometimes if you don't, you get a bad grade, lose your job, or miss out on some other opportunity. So, in a way, and in certain contexts, writing is very much an assigned task, and you just have to check your ego and start grinding away. There are a couple ways to approach this, of course. The first I just described. See it as an unavoidable task and complete it to the best of your ability despite your complete lack of interest. Own it. Be professional. Take care of business. However, you may find that the lack of interest is your fault. This is the personal growth approach. If you're given a topic to write about or a set of topics to choose from, and you look at it and say, I'm not interested in any of this, perhaps it is valuable to take a moment and ask yourself why you feel so uninterested in topics that whoever provided them apparently think are interesting enough to write about. It may be that you just don't yet know why a given topic is relevant to you, or you have to do a little bit of attitude adjustment in order to support your growth. Dynamic, creative thinkers can find just about anything interesting. If it's just that you're annoyed at having to take a composition course, for example, that's another thing entirely, and it's not a writer's block issue, really. It has more to do with a sense of purpose and direction, which can be difficult to find in life, but come on, we gotta try. You never know. Maybe after giving the topic a chance, looking at it from a new angle, you'll discover its mysteries and change your major. Or something like that, just saying. Okay, maybe that's overstating it a little bit, but still. The last of the common obstacles on which I will focus is lack of focus. This is a problem, I think, that most people deal with in many situations in life. In writing projects or any creative projects, you want to get yourself to a place where you're really able to focus on the thing that you're trying to do. If you're not able to focus because you don't have the knowledge or confidence or interest to do it, then you have to work out those problems first, of course. But ultimately, even if you know exactly what you want to do, and you know how to do it, and you have confidence and care, if you find yourself in a situation replete with distractions, it's going to be tough. Mainly it's family, friends, work, other personal interests. In a way, you kind of have to cast these things aside, temporarily, mind you, so that you can get your work done. I remember hanging out with college roommates in the living room, sitting on the couch trying to focus on an assignment that was due the next morning while they were all having a blast playing NBA 2K on the Sega Dreamcast. Yes, by the way, I know how that dates me, but honestly, who am I trying to fool? But anyway, what did I do? Well, a couple times I put my cinder block of a Y2K laptop away and joined them in the fun. But after nailing a few bad grades, I started retreating to my room and utilizing my space when I couldn't find a coffee shop somewhere to sit at. Painful process, but I learned in the end. That's right. I strongly recommend finding yourself a dedicated writing space. It may be different for everybody, so try to find what works best for you. Some people, like myself, find great productivity when outside and enjoying a cup of coffee on a cafe terrace, soaking in the active world while working, while others, with equal efficacy, prefer locking themselves in their room with a jug of water and listening to music without lyrics. Many people find music with lyrics to be distracting while trying to write, although others swear by it. Again, it's up to you. Or, if you're like the horror novelist Stephen King, you might go to a dark nest in the basement and churn out the masterpieces. That's not a joke. In his book On Writing, he basically says locking yourself in the basement for a few hours is the best way to get into the optimal space for focus. Honestly, though, it's up to you, but you have to find that sweet spot, that writing space that is most conducive to your creative process. Well, here we are at the end of this long video about common obstacles to the process of composition: lack of knowledge, lack of confidence, lack of interest, and lack of focus. I hope you found some of this discussion helpful and that you have some new ways of mitigating the stresses of writer's block. I also would love to hear your own thoughts, whether about what I've said here or about other obstacles I've left out.